And Allah says, Wallahu Ghafoor, and He adds the name Rahim. That Allah is loving, caring. When He made something halal for you, it's because He loves you. When He made something allowed for you, it's because He cares for you. He made something allowed for you because it's good for you. And nobody else will love you and care for you more than Allah. Nobody gets to tell you that something Allah has given you out of His love and care is harmful. If Allah has made something good, nobody else gets to redefine it as harmful or bad or no good. Nobody has that right. And you'll find, forget people who don't know the word of Allah, and forget people that don't believe in Allah. You'll have people who claim to believe in Allah, claim to believe in this religion, even look like they practice this religion, and yet in their lives you find them making things haram that Allah has made halal. Imposing on people what they have no right to impose. Guilting people about what they shouldn't be guilting them about. There are some such strange cases of these things, because what's happened sometimes in our culture, in different cultures, Pakistani culture, Bangladeshi culture, Egyptian culture, Moroccan culture, different cultures, we have expectations. That's the last thing I'll share with you. These expectations can become very heavy. Yeah? So for example, when a wedding is happening, then there's an expectation that people are going to dress a certain way. And we have to have certain kinds of jewelry. Or we have certain kinds of, arrangements for guests. Or certain kinds of food. And in order to do that, everybody has to pitch in. The whole family has to pitch in, because we're going to do this massive, party, celebration, gathering, and there's going to be pictures being taken. We have to post these things on social media, because otherwise how will Allah accept it? So we have to make sure that it looks good. So everybody you can't wear the same thing you wore last year, you have to buy something new. And we have to go pay an extra 1,000 for that, and everybody has to pitch in. And somebody in the family says, actually, I think we're overspending. I don't think we should be spending money like this. I don't think this is a way to get blessings. A lot of this money could be used for actually doing something for the poor, or those many of those in our community who cannot even afford to get their daughter married. They can't even afford one animal to be slaughtered for Eid. And maybe we can help them get one of their daughters married with some of this money and earn their du'as, so the people that can afford it actually have blessings in their marriage instead of just pictures in their marriage. Instead of just expensive stuff in their marriage. And then they're guilted. Oh, you don't want to help the family? Astaghfirullah. How greedy, how selfish are you? You don't want to help the family. You just want to take care of yourself. And this is again, somebody saying, I have the right to not partake in what is not okay. I don't have to. I'm not obligated. I'm not obligated to be part of frivolousness. I'm not obligated to do things because our culture expects them. Allah did not obligate me. And if I'm not doing it, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong. As a matter of fact, chances are, you guys are doing something wrong. You're the ones that are overspending. You're the ones that are being wasteful. You're the ones that are keeping up appearances. You're more concerned with pleasing people than you are even with pleasing Allah. You're more afraid of the words of people. What comments are people going to say? What words are they going to say? Their words are heavier on you than Allah's own words. That's a problem. That's not okay. And so I decide that I'm not going to do it. You decide you're not going to do it. And now pressure is being put on you that you're not a good family member. That you're breaking ties. Allah wants you to support the family. Allah wants you to be good to your family. He wants you to, that's misuse of the word of Allah. Don't prohibit people what Allah has made allowed. Don't impose on people what Allah did not impose. What Allah did not impose. I tell you guys this all the time, and in my last minute I'll remind you, most of the wrongdoing that's talked about in the Quran is family doing it to family. Most of the wrongdoing talked about in Allah's book. The Prophet ﷺ, his worst opposition were his uncles. Ibrahim ﷺ, one of his worst opposers was his father. Yusuf ﷺ, his brothers. Nuh ﷺ, his wife. Lut ﷺ, his wife. What do you find in the Quran? Some of the worst opposition, some of the worst crimes that have been committed, some of the worst things that have been said by family to family. So yes, that will be a challenge in our families. That will be a challenge in the people that are closest to you. But you have to draw a line. You don't have to fight anybody. I'm not giving you this khutbah, so you say, watch this video and then we'll have a fight after that. No. That's not what I want either. But you have to be clear about who you're willing to please. Who are you willing to please? And whose lines will you respect? The lines drawn for Allah are for your benefit and for those who don't understand them. It's actually for them. وَيَضَعُ عَنْهُمْ إِصْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالَ الَّتِي كَانَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. He says Allah gave you these laws, and He gave you what's allowed and what's not allowed, to remove the burdens and the chains and the fetters that used to be on you. He wants to get rid of your burden for you. He wants to make you feel free. That's why He gave you this law. The law is not the burden. Culture becomes a burden. Society becomes a burden. But the law of Allah is not a burden. The law of Allah is actually freedom. He says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ. Allah wants to lighten your burden, to give you an easier life. And you were made weak. Meaning, this law is there because without this law, you will be crushed under other weights that you cannot carry. But this will make it's a lighter burden for you that you can actually carry. We have to turn back to the instructions of Allah, the halal and the haram that Allah has given, and not create our own versions of halal and haram, because that way we are only putting chains on ourselves. We're only putting burdens on ourselves. And we're only making lives of ourselves and those around us difficult. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us of those who are truly able to free themselves and are able to express these concerns in a loving, respectful way to friends and family.